here to be here. And so, if you know someone who could use this conversation, please share it at any time during this video. I am so grateful to be here to help you. So, I am a multi lifetime intuitive medium energy seer. And what that means is I see a lot of energies around me. Matter of fact, I see somebody behind me right now, which is Archangel Michael and, you know, um, uh, Gabrielle, and I see a lot of angels behind me. And so, with that, I want you guys all to know that you have them behind you too, because the fact that we all have angels, we all have guides around us, so to help us. So with that I'm here to help you negotiate your world, and I am grateful to be here. So welcome to the new moon, and it's, I think, a solar eclipse. I'm not too sure about that. I just know this eclipse is one of the most powerful ones, and I am one who really likes to help people go through things. So, like I just was asked, what kind of services do I do? Well, I'm a counselor of sorts. I'm a spiritual counselor. I love to help people go through their world, their life, their negotiations. And I do this with my intuition, my multi lifetimes that I've been available to learn. And so with that I don't hold any judgments. I don't hold any, problems with them, because if I haven't done it in this lifetime, I did it in other lifetimes. So with that I love to help you go through your life, help you go through what you're going through. And that is the dance. And I had somebody who said, you make a tremendous counselor. And I go, I know, I've been told that many a times. And with that I do enjoy helping you go through your life. That's my life purpose. And it's not like I enjoy seeing you go through your troubles. No, it's not about seeing your troubles, but what it is that, what are your troubles here to teach you? And, this show here, Life Clarifications with Natasha, it's about what can you do to learn how to negotiate your life? And this is just a little snippet of what I do. I bring awarenesses. I bring a lot of different things. And I used to be called a personal awareness life coach because I did that, but that didn't really get me anywhere. So I was changing up my language. So thank you for asking me what kind of services I do, because I do like to help the counseling part of life. And I put dot to dots together. So with that, seeing this dot to dot, and I keep going back to this in a lot of my videos that I do, and I bring this a lot. We're in this tremendous opening for opportunity. Okay. Tremendous opportunity. Like during the solstice, which I know that was that a month ago already? Oh my gosh, time is just flying by, which time is changing, dimensional changing. The matrix, a lot of those kinds of things. We are getting to know it, right? And so with that going forward in this dance, that we had a new moon, which was at the beginning of Aries. And I'm not necessarily into astrology, but I'm into astrology enough to get myself in trouble sometimes. So with that we were at the very beginning of Aries with a new moon and the solstice. New ideas, new comings. What do we want to do? Where do we want to go with this? What are we going to have happen with this? What is the dance that we're doing with this, right? So going forward with this dance, it's about what is this new that we want to create? Well, positive thinking is a very big positive in this, right? We need to think more positive. What can I do? Here it is. But I understand that life is being overwhelming right now. I've supported so many people negotiating their life. It is a perspective. How can we get going in this? I've helped some people who I necessarily wasn't in their same boat, but yet at the same time I work in the same networking that they do. And I'm here to support you, knowing that here things got to change. Something has to change. It's got to change, but yet we got to keep going, and perspective can be a major part of it, right? The thing is about life, though, is when we're going forward. So we had that new moon with the solstice at the beginning of Aries. Well, what do we want to start? Well, for me, I did a rebranding. I really upgraded my website. Now it's a whole lot easier to manage, and I'm just so impressed with it. Hallelujah. I did it myself, by the way. Instead of having anxiety around it, I actually did it myself and without anxiety. Uh, Big one for me. So there's a new for me, right? There's a new for me. So going forward with that, and then we had the full moon 2 weeks ago, right? And that one was like, what do we want to get rid of so that we can create the new, right? Because we're still in Aries, which is the fire sign, which is about the new. It's the first sign of the zodiac. So what do we want to really create new, right? And then now we're having this new moon today with a solar eclipse, right? With the eclipse. And this eclipse is like hybrid. It's the dual. I was just watching a thing on it that it was like it's the ring of fire and then it's totally it goes in front of it. So it's both. So here's this like total double whammy type of eclipse. And oh my gosh, did I feel like molasses this morning on a cold day? I could not get myself moving. But at the same time though, getting that more ideal. What can I do? Where can I go? But it's still in Aries, right? The sign of Aries. But we're at the end of it. But I can tell you when we have eclipses like this is the big it's what are we going to be doing for the next 6 months, right? So here we are doing this. And then I just found out with our full moon in May, there's a partial eclipse. Oh my gosh. What are we going through? What are we going through? Well, we're going through something that is really helping us to really relieve a lot of uh, these things that are not necessarily us to deal with, right? Like there was a mantra that I had. I I I am free from being. I am not the world that surrounds me. I'm just interacting with it, right? Isn't that the matrix? That I am not what surrounds me. My vision of what is happening is not what's around me. So how can I change that image? By shifting up my perspective, right? So how can I change my perspective? Well, that's working through this mind thing, which is going to be actually Mercury going into retrograde in the next day or two here, right? And that's in Taurus. So Taurus, if you take what Taurus is, it's a bull, right? It's the earth sign. It's very grounded. It's get me down, get me going, let me pull on it. The bull will pull weight. It will pull into what it needs to do, right? But yet it's going to bull its way through. So a lot of that you've been working on this new ideas, new goings, and I'm just getting some ahas while I'm saying this because I was asking the universe, what am I supposed to talk about today? And here they're putting words in my mouth, right? So this bullishness that the bull has, what can it pull? What can I get going? What is the thing that you've been working on in the month of uh, late March, April here? What is it that you've been working on that you really want to start going forward? A lot of the healing work. I know some people have been doing a lot of healing work. Some people have been really deciding, do they want to move? Do they want to have their marriage still? Do they want to have the same job that they're doing? This new beginning. But then some people are having a hard time getting started, right? Well, this Mercury in retrograde, if you were born in a retrograde like I was, it's like, it's almost like coming home. I do a lot of things when Mercury's in retrograde that a lot of people can't do, but I also understand that sometimes it's about negotiating this world. So with that with Mercury in retrograde, Mercury, it's about communication. It's about electronics. It's about things that are metal. Be careful about what, the things might not necessarily work as well. I'm glad I got my new computer before Mercury went into retrograde, and the universe was pushing me to do that. So going forward in this dance is how do we negotiate some of these scenarios? Well, Mercury is about communicating, and I can already tell you that that Mercury's been playing with me with communication. That I was miscommunicating with somebody. But the one thing I didn't do was feed into it as a negative. But I said, okay, how can we communicate better? I know that this is a scenario that's happening for us or with us, but how can we communicate better? I understand that communication is both verbal and actions. And I know that I have to be responsible for what I'm doing in my actions, right? But what is that other person responsible for in their actions? And doing those things that these retrograde means is you rethink it, you reapply it, you re-know it, you get re-challenged by it, the re's you re-know it, redo it, right? And so when we're going forward, that what is it that something might be coming to you that you're rethinking? Haven't I already dealt with this before? Haven't I already gone through this before? Right? And so with that, I want to say hello to those that are just showing up, because I know that this is a big thing what we're going through. And I'm Natasha Venter, and I would just really enjoy you to be here with me. And if you know somebody who can use this, please share it, like it, subscribe, whatever you can do, because I really want to help people go through what we're going through. Like today, I was around a lot of chaos this morning, a lot of chaos, and not everybody was doing their better. Matter of fact, there's people screaming at each other. There was mishaps. There was emotions being thrown around, and we wanted to do something, but we couldn't. And somebody was stopping me from being what I wanted to do, but what I was wanting to do was being destructive. There's a lot of this stuff going on. And people might think, what do you think? Were you grocery shopping? No, I was in an elementary school. I was in an elementary school. Oh, great petri dish for what's going on in society, right? The greatest petri dish for what's going on in society. So with that, and you notice I'm laughing. Well, after I got done with my job, which I leave a little early because then I do this job, my intuition, my practice of doing intuitive work, that I really do help people go through things. Well, I sat in the car and I just kind of went, and I wanted to turn on the ignition, but I just couldn't. I just sat there. The sun was a little bit coming out, so you sit in a car and it's nice and warm, and I just took a moment. And so you're going to see a video that I did if you follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, or on Facebook, or on my YouTube channel. That I just kind of sat there and I did a video about taking a breath. Because that's actually what I was doing at that time. So remember that this moment is not necessarily about, how we can do this, but I'm going to tell you that, this is about our spiritual movement going forward. This, all these, wonderful new moons, um, you know, coinciding with other things, coinciding with this, coinciding with that, that this is all about our spiritual um, growth. And I can tell you that, spirituality is not about religion. It's about finding love for ourselves, finding compassion for ourselves, knowing that there's something greater than just going to work. Some people need to do that, just need to go to work and come home. I get that. I can respect that. But the thing is, though, is when we're going forward and we're doing this dance, that um, it's not always about the emotion, but yet the emotions are what teaches us. So finding a balance between the emotions and what is it here to teach me? That's a great mantra right now. What is this here to teach me? Because of the fact that we're going through this major undercovering of things. And what was I seeing here? I was seeing something that, and I even made a comment on that post, that the last hybrid eclipse we had was 2013. This is 2023. The next one will be 2031. 13, 23, 31. If that doesn't tell you that there's something magical going on here, because if you just look at those numbers, right? And the 3 is about coming home. It's about that sync. So many things, if you divide them, 2s and 3s, right? 1s, 2s, and 3s are the magic numbers because everything gets divided into that, right? So 3, 6, 9, 12, those are all magical numbers. So going forward in our life, how can we really utilize the magic that is happening right now? Follow that gut instinct is one. These synchronicities will tell you that you're on the right path. Coming across, this video, there's a synchronicity to it, right? So what is this helping you to negotiate in your world? Because I can tell you that the people I was helping with the last couple of days about how, they're really struggling with dealing with the people, I'm going to say the students in their world, right? They're struggling with the students in their world because the students think that they know more than us adults. Well, I'm going to tell you, in their soul families, they probably do, but that doesn't mean that they don't need to learn how to be human in this process. Like, there's one student that I can see in his past lives that he was like Einstein. He was so smart. He had multitudes of lifetimes where had the brain of Einstein, right? But yet he's learning how to be a human in the human body right now, which he had to in other lifetimes too. I'm not getting that, but we're experiencing it with him now. I'm witnessing him being who he is. And when I saw him in kindergarten, I tagged him right away of this. So I got him. I understood it. I understood what he was struggling with. But that doesn't always help, though, right? That doesn't always help. Because sometimes that person doesn't want to have help. So how can we go through what we're going through with more grace and ease? And I'm going to tell you, that's perspective. That is perspective. Because the fact we can either be in what we're dealing with and sink into it like a muddy pit, or we can use our spiritual knowings and decide, you know what? I'm just part of this. I'm just helping the people experience it. And that's the way I negotiate it. I come in and I'm not part of what's happening, but I'm exampling it. I'm interacting with it. Am I the kid that is throwing a fit? No, I'm witnessing and supporting the kid who's throwing a fit. Am I the teacher that exhausted? No. But I'm witnessing and honoring that person for what they're going through, and I am supporting them. Am I the one that's tired this morning? Yes. But I also chose to have a different perspective. Had some herbal tea that helps me get myself going. I took some vitamins that helps my adrenals, and I did some other things, right? And so with that when we're going through something, what can we do to help ourselves? Now, what wouldn't help me, because this doesn't work for my body, never really has, is that it's helped me to do this, is that, I try not to eat a bunch of sugar, especially before I go to bed, because then I don't go to sleep. So will that help me the next day? Yes. I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. I have never been a drinker. I think I've maybe been drunk once in my life, well, tipsy a little bit, because alcohol and me don't agree. I get the world spinning both ways at the same time. So I just don't drink. But I sometimes wish I can have a glass of wine just to slow down, right? But that doesn't mean that I want to get drunk every night and close the door, because then it doesn't help me the next day. It doesn't help me the next day. And that's the thing about life is that we got to do those things now to help us for the next day and the next day and the next day, because that's what perspective helps us to be. And we can only do the work. Now, I've had somebody that I tried helping, and I just kind of sit there and witness them. If they don't want my help, because I sometimes say what I'm doing and they go, "Oh, I don't know if I could do that." Well, right there, they can't do it, which makes me sad because they are better than that. They are more warmer than that. And so going forward, it's just this moment of where we're at and what we're doing, right? So let me know if I can help you at all. What are some of the questions that you have? What is this here to help? But, going into this Mercury in retrograde in Taurus, that a lot of people aren't doing their spiritual awakening. A lot of people are very much in the thick of things, and they're going to stay in the thick of things because that's where they're comfortable. So how do we negotiate that, right? That, like, someone I know that's close to me doesn't handle Mercury in retrogrades very well. But I can tell you that me having more patience is helping that other person. I'm making sure that I communicate well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes is what I add on. Or I hope I'm coming across clear, because I don't want you to misinterpret what I'm saying. Because we're not always in this right place doing the right thing, right? So what can we do to support this Mercury in retrograde? For one, don't push. So in technology, if an email isn't going through, put it in a draft, walk away, go to the bathroom, get a cup of coffee, walk away, talk to a coworker about something else in the business, come back, take it out of draft, reread what you've written, because that's maybe a trick why it didn't get sent, right? Because the universe is watching your back. Oh, wait a minute. There's a sentence in there that I shouldn't have sent. Clean that up, push send, and it sends, because now it's in sync with what you need to do. So go with something. If your car doesn't want to work quite right, well, maybe we just need to breathe for a minute. Like me, did I get in my car and start the car off and drive down the road? No, I sat there for a minute. And my car was happy to start off, right? But if I tried to probably push, my car might not have done as well, right? Because it was feeling my energy. I get it. Cars don't have any personality. But I can tell you, though, the universe is working with us. So being who we are, negotiating our story, is going to be very important in the next couple of months, because what we're working on today, in any way that is newer in our lives, new habits, new knowings. Now, like last night, I had a conversation about how I'm not having very good boundaries with certain things, right? And so, and I'm a natural night person. So for me to be on my phone doing a couple of things, doing my posts and stuff, that's something good, right? But then I kind of stay on Facebook for a little bit and watch the videos. And then I stay on Instagram and watch a little bit of videos, and then on TikTok, because I'm there. Natasha Venter AC is my go-to on all platforms. And so I'll stay on and watch a couple videos. Well, that turns into being an hour and a half, right? Not very good boundaries. Not very good boundaries for me, because I would actually like to draw. I would actually like to maybe write. Hi, Michelle. Thank you for being here. How can we negotiate this? So starting our world and being with ourselves will be the greater gift of who we are. Because this new moon with an eclipse, oh my gosh, the cleaner we can keep our language, the cleaner we can keep our thoughts, the lighter we can stay, the more inspiration we can be. You know, making sure, and then Mercury in retrograde, making sure that we have communication, making sure that, do you understand what I'm saying here? I'm hoping, because I want to make sure I'm clear, come, pull back a little bit, because remember, this Mercury retrograde is going to be in Taurus, which is a bull. So some of our attitudes might be bullish, but what can we do with people who are bullish, right? Well, we can kind of not wear red. How can we negotiate that? Sometimes we need to defer to somebody better than us on this conversation, right? So when technology, Mercury retrograde does technology, like I said, it also deals with electronics, communication. It also deals with, what's the other one? Metal objects. So I would reread conversations or texts before you send it, right? Before you send it. I've also been doing a lot of, the voice to text, right? So they hear my voice. They hear me being the intention in my voice, I would say. So there's not misunderstood it through the words, because words can be misunderstood. And I just talked to somebody today about that, how somebody just snapped at them. And then it threw them into their anxiety because they were snapped at. Ooh, well, that's not very fair, is it? But, being snapped at, yeah, okay. That's where I come back in a little bit and say, can I have some clarity, please? I want some clarity. So going forward, it's very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting, because we have the new moon at the end of Aries, which is fire, right? What have we been working over the last month of Aries, which is about the last it's been about a month now, right? So what can we do with that? Now we're going to go into Taurus, which is about the earth getting moving. What are we planning? What's happening, right? And then this full moon that's in a couple weeks with another eclipse. Oh my gosh. New beginnings with the new moon, endings with the full moon, right? One of these planets that Aries and Taurus play in is about the monies and those extra outer scenarios, right? Well, what are you hearing in the ethers? Well, what are we not hearing? Because we're getting distracted by Trump and all those other things, right? What are we not hearing? I'm hearing whispers of the banking system changing, right? And at the beginning of at the end of last year, I really got, because I'm doing a book study about overcoming under-earning. And I really got that we had to go through the fears, a lot of the emotional triggers through this book was really a good gift, so that when we got to this point in the year, like over summer, about money's changing, the way the banking system is changing. We got a couple banks that are failing, but they're not really failing. What are they doing? They're being manipulated. This is my intuition telling me. Manipulated to gather up, so that it's kind of like the beginning of the fall, and they're manipulating this in a way. But if we stand in fear, it triggers the negative habits of that, right? So I'm going to say to you is that whatever you can do, be as proactive as you can. In the next, let's say 6 months, be as proactive as you can. Like they're saying, pay with cash, so that they see that cash is very much needed, right? Pay with, when you're communicating, try to communicate with more positiveness than negative, because negativity, like I was talking to somebody today, and she says, boy, if you slip down that rabbit hole, it's easy to stay there, isn't there? That negative self. But this new moon is saying, what are you trying to say to yourself going forward? Now, like last show I got, last Wednesday, I got at the end of it, and it was a big ha-ha for me. If I was to Google my life, what would I want to call in to my life? If I was to Google it, what would I want? And then I got this image, and I know this is kind of far out there for some people. If I was to go clunk, 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 clunk into the matrix, what would be the difference that would come to me? That was a big aha for me. Because what we are, what we think, we may receive it, right? So being as positive as we can would be the grace that we can do. Because what do we want to Google for our lives? Now, does that mean that we're going to get it like that? No, it doesn't mean we're going to get it like that. But things start shifting. Things start happening. Things start moving. And it's interesting because for me, I've been wanting to have more clientele coming in for private sessions, right? Because, I can give you a show like this, but the private work that you do is what can help you negotiate some of this world, right? Because it's your dance, your story. I can give you a blanket idea on how to work it, but how do you apply it in your day-to-day life? Well, I've been asking for more personal clients, right? But what I've been doing is signing up for more psychic fairs, intuitive fairs to support people. So the universe sometimes doesn't give it to us right off in front of us, right? Doesn't give it to us in front of us, but it kind of fills you in. So it fills in the path to where you need to go. And one thing leads to another, which leads to another. And I just got a hit that I need to start looking at YouTube and looking for spiritual teachers, right? Spiritual advisors, podcasts. Who can I be on with, right? What is the shows that we can be on with? And then I'm also getting that I need to reply some of the emails about people being on our show, because that will help me. So here I'm speaking out loud and I'm getting bing, 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 bing ideas. Yes, I'm intuitive, but I can tell you that you yourself get ideas when you talk. When you talk it over with somebody, go with some of those ideas, right? If they're for you, they can help you. But you got to be willing to negotiate the new of them. And what kind of language do you have? What kind of language do you have with that? It's kind of interesting, huh? What is some of the new that you can have doing that? Give that a thought for a minute. What can I do to create a different perspective? If I was to Google my life, what would I have? What would my life be? I know some of us have situations, like I work in elementary school in the morning. There is situations that are out of my hands because there are other people. But what can I do so that I am not that reality? Am I the kid that yells? No, I'm witnessing. I'm interacting with it. Am I the scenario, because I do playground duty. So am I the kid that is screaming and yelling? No. But if it's hurting my ears, it's affecting me, and how can I engage with it? Not react to it, but engage with it. Work with it. Know it. Sometimes I'm a broken record, right? But I'm also a seed planter. I'm also one that likes to plant seeds of ideas, engagements, knowings, because those engagements You never know what's going to be planted next. And I can tell you that I have had kids come back to me years later and say, "You were the teacher on the playground, weren't you?" Yeah. Yeah, I'm Natasha, Mrs. Venter. You're the one who told me such and such and such and such. Like one kid, he was wearing a hood, and I said, "You're going into school. You need to take that off. It's a school rule." He goes, "I don't like it." And I said, "I agree. I don't enjoy all the rules, but I still have to follow them because that's what my boss told me to do. I may not like it. I may not agree with it, but it's a rule I need to follow to get myself going and have a job." He took the hood off. Later, he says that he went through about middle school and then about high school, and then bing, that seed that I planted went off. And he goes, "You know what? If I want to have a job, I'm going to have to do things I don't want to do. And I'm not going to always agree with the rules around it. But I want to go far. In order to go far, I have to deal with some of the politics of it." And he thanked me for saying that to him. Right? Or another kid that I said that I heard him, I just, synchronicity, right place at the right time, saying, "I'm such a bad kid. I'm such a bad kid," as he was walking across the playground. I said, "Stop. You are not a bad kid. You are a great kid who's making poor choices. And all you have to do is shift your choices." He looked at me. "I'm not a bad kid." I said, "No, you're not a bad kid. You're a great kid. I've seen you being a great kid. You're great. Just make poor choices. Change your choices." Came back to me after high school and said, "Mrs. Venter, you changed my world at that time. I decided I wasn't a bad kid anymore, but I had to change my choices." So, what kind of seeds are we planting right now in our own brains? What are some of the seeds that we are planting in some of our own knowings? Right? Are we deeming ourselves stupid and unfair? Or are we negotiating our world in a better way? Because I can tell you that we don't know all that's going on. Even me being intuitive, people say, "What does tomorrow have?" And I go, "What are you doing to sabotage your world?" And that will tell you what you're doing, not going to do. Like I was watching I love these little inspirations. I've kind of gotten on the algorithm of inspirational knowings. And this one person was saying, you know, "I've done all the work. I'm doing all the work. I keep doing all the work. When am I going to get there?" And then I felt like I was going to quit. But what I ended up saying to myself is that I haven't found it yet. It hasn't come to me yet. Keep doing the work. It hasn't come to me yet. And it actually came to her. I can tell you, I'm saying that to myself too. I haven't hooked up with the right situation yet. But it's coming. I can feel it coming. Now, what is it? Because it's a journey. It's a journey. Once I reach that dot, will I feel accomplished? Life is a journey, but how can we negotiate that? I know for me that there's people around me saying July or January or June 18th is only so many weeks and days away. I say, okay, but there's something magical that's happening today, and I don't know what it is, but I want to enjoy it. I'm grateful for that time when it comes to that, but I also know that when that time comes, summer will go fast, and then I'll be back in that situation again that's different because it's a different scenario. It's a different year, right? So if I enjoy now, I see the journey of what it's here to teach me and what it can do for me. What an idea, huh? We're going through a lot of, I'm going to call it shit right now. But that shit is here to shake us up to decide what we want to do, who we want to be in it, What is our intentions while we're going through it? There's very good people who are having really hard situations in front of them. And I honor you for that. There's something changing in our world, and it's coming. And I don't know when it will be, but it's coming, and it'll be for our better. But I'm going to tell you, there in everything that comes, there's shadows and there's light. But it's perception on what we see in the shadows and in the light. There's shadows and then there's light. What can we do to be with it? Perception. Perception. But like I said, a lot of times, like today, got in the car, sat there for a minute, and didn't move. My body didn't want to move because it was kind of a day today. The petri dish of reality of what the new moon and eclipse is really showing is the kids are part of that dance. They show us exactly what's going on in society, and a lot of people are losing their minds because we have to lose something to gain something. We have to lose something to gain something, and sometimes it's losing control and going with the journey. Because we're all here to learn and we're all here to experience. I hope today's show helps, because I can tell you that this big deal, this huge deal right now, oh my gosh. If I can tell you anything, it's about perception. What is your perception? What is your perception? I'm getting chills. I mean, if you saw my hair is standing up on end. Perception. Gain your spirituality of perception. Is it a shitty day, or is it a day that I have great opportunities to show my loving kindness with boundaries? With boundaries, because tough love is so part of it. Tough love. I had somebody who said to me, I'm getting tired of being angry. I said, can I change your language? Let it be tough love. You're showing them a lot of kindness with tough love. Boundaries with tough love. Because we're all in the midst of shifting up who we are. And some of us don't know how to do it well. Some of us don't know how to do it well. So today, I'm going to pull some oracle cards here. And this one is the Mists of Avalon that I'm going to do. And if anybody wants a card, you don't have to tell me what you want. The light, the sun comes up. Shines brighter. There we go. You don't have to necessarily tell me what you want, but if you just want a card, just to say, what can it show? What can it tell me? And if you want to have any, I would love to help somebody out. So if you want to put in something that you're struggling with, that I can maybe help you. And I'm putting a bubble of love around every single movement. Putting. I love that when that happens. You're shuffling, and it's like, ask the universe to tell us what we want to deal with, and all of a sudden the card falls out, right? So there's one more card. Actually, this one's going to come out here. Swan. I love the swan. And then there's one more here. And I'm getting the feeling it's this one right here. High Priestess. Got some 3 cards here. So this is the universal card for everybody. So I haven't pulled any cards for anybody. Okay, this is for everybody. So movement, right? Movement. Whoop. There we go. Movement. So movement is 36, which is 9, which is 3 plus 6 is 9. So movement, you have to have endings. 9 is about endings. But every ending creates a new beginning. So what is the ending that is trying to create new beginnings here? So 36, movement. This marker reminds you that all things change as a part of a cycle of life. This may pretend a physical move, or it harbors a release from a restriction and waiting. Rejoice, for change is in the air, and new things are about to enter your world. This puts you on notice that it's time to broaden your horizons as you move forward in your path. You may travel to a new foreign place, both physically and inwardly. It is fortunate and timely to do so. Nothing is ever meant to be static in the ways of living the mystery. Movement brings challenges that must not be resented, or progress can only be made by letting go of what was and welcoming what is and what is yet to come. This marker is always an omen for change for the better. Change for the better. Okay, and then I got the swan. Well, if you look at a swan, right? Swan is about, breaking free of the old visions of ourselves and that kind of thing. No, I don't do the Tourette. This is the oracle cards. So it's about but basically the same thing, but oracle cards. So the swan, transformation, trusting the psyche gifts. So 3. So didn't I tell you that the numbers are 3 is a magical number, right? Earlier. So swan. So swan is 12. Let me read that one. This is a card for everybody. So first off, we had movement. You cannot have movement without change. And change needs to happen in order to have movement. And a lot of the old that we want to get rid of, we have to have both the shadows and the good of it, right? And the swan. This card represents transformation from one state to another, from the ugly duckling to the beautiful swan. This signals a period of growth that will ultimately be life-changing. The swan says that you may change so much that you may not recognize yourself in the end. That is spiritual growth, right? That is spiritual growth. Most important, it is time to honor and love this change within yourself, for then only the most beautiful reflections will shine back at you from the mirror of life. Swan says, dive in. You will love who you become. It also reminds you that you need to trust your intuition and psychic gifts to guide you as you go through the process of wonderful and ultimate change. The swan is the compassion of the high priestess, who has the ability to part with the mist and serve the separate of Avalon and the psychic and the physical world. The swan can dive into the lake by herself. Okay, let me start that over. I apologize. The swan can dive into the lake on her behalf and find treasure that human eyes cannot see. The swan reminds you to see with your heart and listen with your spirit, and the whole world can be magically transformed. And that's the thing, is we got to get out of the mind. We got to get out of the ego. We got to get out of the it's all about me. It's about we, but I need to be good to myself in the meantime. I need to take care of I, right? How can I take care of I? Because of swan. So we have movement from ugly to beauty, but it takes change, right? It takes work. It takes discomfort to create comfort, right? Because the high priestess is here to help us. And the high priestess is discernment, presence, and prophecy and vision. So a number 2 card. Let me read that one, and then, unless somebody else wants a card, I will be done. So, the High Priestess says, intuition, sight, or higher knowings, receptivity, ability to work with the subliminal energies of spirit, and the psychic power of the feminine. These are the aspects of the High Priestess of Avalon. When the High Priestess appears before you, she asks you to trust your intuition and to throw the net of your awarenesses out into the world around you, pulling in truths that may defy your intellect, rational mind, or what others wish to falsely or specifically portray. Go beyond the ordinary, past the chaos of modern life. Trust your inner vision to guide you on a path. Pay attention to your dreams and keep track of your intuitive hunches. For when the High Priestess appears, she asks you to look for the thread of truth in the places. Be discerning in all that you do at this time, for the High Priestess reminds you that not only is it seem to be, however, it's not how it seems to be. However, don't take this world personally. Rise above it and ask the true vision to see the path ahead. You will be given this vision. All you need to do is ask the goddess to be open to receiving. High Priestess reminds you of all the feminine principles of receptivity, gathered power by receiving information and waiting for others to act first. Allow the world to show you its intentions. The goddess blesses and protects you when the High Priestess of Avalon appears on your path. So, in other words, oh my gosh, use discernment, but believe in the movement to the greater good. Movement to the greater good. So it was movement to the High Priestess, and the High Priestess is very much here. So movement, think of the swan, darkness to beauty, right? To the High Priestess, just standing in our power, sitting in our power. Because look at her. She's just like sitting in her power. She's got her stuff in front of her. She's got her tools. So trust you. Trust you. You got the gift of the tools. You got the gift of the knowing, right? So believe who you are. So if you know of anybody who can use this conversation, please share it. Like what you see. Subscribe. And know that you are very much a blessing. I will be back on next Wednesday, just on Facebook and my YouTube channel. I'm gonna have psychic medium. Oh God, his name just went out of my head. That's so sad. I do not like doing that. Mark Anthony is on. Mark Anthony will be on next week, next Wednesday. So I will not be on Instagram. So you can catch me on my YouTube channel, which is Natasha Venter AC. Please go there. On Monday, on the Dance of the Soul, which I'm on Facebook, and my YouTube channel, which is Natasha Venter AC, is Bruce Starr. He is a family counselor. He is one who really has brought forth how to work with the male aspect of life. Blessings to you on your journey, and know that I'm here to help you in the spiritual counseling of life. And know that, if you surround everything with love, it can help change it. It can help change it. I'm Natasha Venter at angelicclarifications.com. If you would like some help with your spiritual growth, I'm here to help you. Blessings to you. Know that you're perfectly imperfect in this world of ours. Bye now.